that, I think.
That's amazing, Arunaji. I'm so happy that you shared this. But let me also throw in some more statistics, and then you weigh
I
your
wanted to make
answer.
a point here. So
Yeah, Ruchika.
I completed my engineering about 2 to 3 years ago, and what I noticed is that the syllabus that we have is quite old. Like when I was studying engineering, we had a subject called telecommunications, and we were taught about the telephone exchanges that existed about 20 years ago, where you call a telephone exchange, multiplexers, and all those technologies were there. Whereas now we are working on 5G technology. So I think there is this gap between what we are studying and what is currently happening in this society or in the world, and that is what really contributes to what the statistics that you have shared.
Bang on, Ruchika. So stay with this thought because now I'm going to share some statistics and you map them to what Arunaji was saying a minute back and see where does it take us. Uh, I'm rushing it a little. I'm really enjoying this conversation, but I'm very conscious of the time. There is a Dell technical report which tells us that 85% of the jobs by the year 2030 have not been invented yet. 85% of the jobs by in the next 10 years have not been invented. 65 or 67% 65% of primary school teachers, 65-67% of the primary school students who are going through primary education today uh, are not going to be ready for the jobs which are, for them the jobs don't exist as on date. In this kind of a scenario, my question to Arunaji and other educationists are, do you think the kind of measures that we are taking today will be able to take us to where we are wanting to go? In next 2 years, 6 billion engineers, 6 million engineers required for cybersecurity. Do you think the pace of change that we are adopting is going to take us there? I leave that question for you to mull upon and bring you to the next thing. But before I go to where are the possibilities? I know there is no magic wand which one rotates today. We live in an environment which, and I'm not being utopian or hypothetical, but I'm inviting you to look at possibilities which are not a thought at the moment. They are being practiced the world over, and share them with you and see which of these do you want to bring into your practice and take them further. But before we go there, it's very important for us to know why our system is the way it is, like what Ruchika, personal experience that she has shared, and I see it being manifested every time when I work with the new entrants in the corporates. The problem is the education system that we are using today was created for the kind of jobs which are 100 years and not in existence. We wanted people who mastered the 3 R's. I'm sure we all know: write, read, arithmetic, because the people who rule the world needed the components of a wide network which with people who were replaceable, who were to do the basic computation and nothing more. They were not expected to think. But that's not valid anymore. Things have changed dramatically. Is the system broken? I won't say that. It's quite fashionable to say the education system is broken. No, it was so sound that it has taken so deep roots that it is becoming very difficult for us to do something about it. It's like a banyan tree. You can't trim it. The examples that we are talking of is trimming the banyan tree, it will regrow. You can't uproot it, the roots are so strong, and the problem is nothing grows under it. So that means if we are talking of future of education, we will have to change our entire mindset and look at the newer possibilities. And what are those newer possibilities? Newer possibilities will not come to us if we continue to believe in some of the myths that I'm going to now list out for you. So these are the myths that I invite you to question, rationalize, and work upon and see, are they really the myths worth hanging on, staying married to, or they need to be questioned and dumped? So bear with me. I'm going to now bring some aspects which may may need a little bit of acceptance and maybe mulling around. My first myth that I'm going to table is that teachers are essential for education. Teachers are needed for education. They are not. And look, I'm not saying this. This is something that has been researched and tried and tested by a gentleman called and many others. But this guy kind of brought it out in a manner where we all can understand. You heard of Sugata Mitra? So there is a techie who got into this education space at some point in time, got invited, where he did something called the hole in the wall. I assume you would have heard of it. All that he did was in his office, which was next to a slum, he broke the wall and fitted a computer there and left it there with a touchpad and disappeared from the scene. In next 24 hours, the children were browsing the internet there. And he continued with his experiment. So finally, he came up with this hypothesis that teachers are not essential for teaching people basic skills as long as some basic conditions are met. And the conditions that he highlighted have to be met as that the group has to be heterogeneous. The children have to be from different age groups. Two, there has to be technology available, a repository of information which they can delve into, which they can browse and pull out what is useful for them. And they are very capable of that. Third thing, which is very important, is that there should be no adult present. Because as teachers, sometimes we might be hampering education. We might be coming in the way of people learning. So he insisted that if there is no elder, the chances are children will be more free to explore, experiment, make mistakes without the fear of judgment and learn much faster. So this is an established experiment. You can read volumes on this hole in the wall. Sugata Mitra, who has proved it beyond doubt that teachers are not essential for imparting education. Mind my words, I'm saying for imparting education. The next thing, which myth that we have to question is teachers are repository of knowledge and wisdom. Ask yourself, can any one of us sitting here match an Alexa or a Siri? Is Siri still alive or is she dead? I don't know. Or Google. We can't. We have to be gods to be able to be repository of knowledge and wisdom which is available today in the world. And why should we be when all this is available at the click of a mouse? So that is the next myth that we have to question. The third myth, which is already kind of we have brought it up, is brick and mortar institutions are essential for education. I think COVID has taught us very beautifully that this is something which has to be reviewed, looked at. So if not brick and mortar, then what else? So obviously the next easiest answer is blended learning, where you bring in the classroom teaching and blend it with technology. But mind you, that is not going to work in the long run. You can't be having people sitting in front of the screens and the teachers doing the same thing that they were doing in the class. There has to be something far better. So the next step is make it flipped learning. I don't have the time to go into details, but search this out. Flipped learning is another possibility which blends technology and the role of the teachers in a very creative manner to make it meaningful, to make it impactful. If the other option is look at homeschooling. People have already been delving with this idea. COVID has given us the opportunity to go deeper into this. But homeschooling, at the end of the day, is you're teaching them the same 3 R, and R, which finally the child will go join the mainstream at some point of the time. So then there are people like, I don't know if you have heard of this lady called Reva. She has started a university called Swaraj University, which does not give you any degree or a certificate. And this is running successfully, where they give you mentors. You go through a curriculum, which is very diligently monitored, but very, very flexible, depending on the choices that the student wants to make. Which space does he want to go into? Like Srivastava ji was mentioning, and people have done a great job. They are one of the most. They've picked up the best of jobs in the corporates, and a lot more. So alternate schooling is the next option that is coming in. So therefore, brick and mortar is a model which has to be looked at. The next thing which has to be looked at, and the next myth which we have been living with that needs to be reviewed or questioned is with respect to a college degree is essential for employment. No, it is not. Reva, through her, she's a very dear friend. She has very beautifully demonstrated to the whole world that college degrees are not essential. But people have gone beyond. Some of us were already mentioning about MOOCs, which are massive online open courses, which are available to you at either free or a very, very nominal cost, where you can pick up all the skills that your school or colleges will teach you, which are at least few years, decades old, as Ruchika just shared with us at a fraction of a cost, and you have all the liberty, flexibility to work when you want to. I don't know whether we are aware that Google a few days back has launched a program called Google Genius, where at $49 a month you will get a certificate or a certificate which is equivalent to any 4 years degree course. And Google and many other organizations are inviting people who are certified as per this program without any college degrees and offering them employment. This is absolutely hands-on masterclass program where they'll give you very specific skills that are essential for them. Right. Similarly, as the statistics go, more than 50% in the last few years, there are organizations which are offering you job. There are developers who do not have formal degrees from the colleges who are doing phenomenal job or are being offered employment in the organizations. Similarly, this Google Genius program is going to be accepted, has already been acknowledged by many IT organizations as of now, where they will say this, we will honor this certification for all the job roles that you want to bring up with. So therefore the focus is going to be shift from giving a very broad-based generic education to building what they're calling is as the micro credentials. You have to have just the right skills to deliver the right value, and you are there. Your job is not threatened versus what the education system is doing there. So we have to question: are college degrees really essential? I do not know. I don't think so. So the next thing is onus of teaching and upskilling is upon the educational institutions. No more. The onus for learning is upon the learner, on the student. You have to find time. You have to find resources. You have to make the right choices of what is it that you want to do in life. And there is abundance of opportunities which are available. It has to be self-learning. It has to be self-financing. It has to be masterclass formats where you pick up an area where you want to excel, educate yourself and offer yourself for employment. Chances are you will get it versus running after college degrees, which I don't know, sometimes are not worth the paper they are written on. I think ISSN is planning to close 800 of engineering colleges this year. Imagine 800 colleges which are mushroomed all over the countryside, churning out good for nothing graduates and engineers, not employable at all. The next myth is that your growth and retention is based on your knowledge. It is not. Whether you're in a corporate, whether you're anywhere else, you might get hired for your skills, but you will be retained and you will grow in life based on your attitude. Which institutions are doing putting in legitimate effort in this direction? I'm aware that institutions have classes like yoga and social engineering and a whole lot of fancy names, but what happens there? We all know it. The reality is far different. They are being followed in letter, not in spirit. And the biggest problem with corporates today is they, all the time when I work with them, I hear them say, this guy is a great individual performer. When it comes to working in a team, he just can't handle it. He just can't, we can't work with this guy. Imagine, such a waste, because we don't have the social skills. So you will not find a job just because you have the knowledge. You have to have the right attitude, where unfortunately the present institutions are not doing a good job. And that is where the role of the teachers comes in. Do we realize as teachers, how many lives are we impacting minute by minute? Every minute that you're spending with your students, you are in a way deciding their future, because they will imbibe so much of what you do in that classroom in those 40 minutes. What is in line with what we are supposed to be doing as good human beings? How much of it is actually respect for the spirit versus the letter of what is it that you're saying or doing in the classroom? So you have a role. The teachers will have to shift from being teachers to being coaches. Teachers will have to be shifting from the repository of knowledge to being the gardeners, the nurturers who are actually nurturing seeds of future. By the way, when I'm questioning the role of teachers, by no means am I saying that teachers are not required. I think they are required more, but they have to have the right skills to remain relevant if we are talking of future of education. So that is the way I say it, is what is it that is going to be the need in not only in a very far distance, even coming back to this statistic again and again, 2022, 6 million computer engineers not available for computer security. I think we'll have to do something drastic. Some of the things I've listed, there are many more, I'm sure. I'm also very aware of the fact that there is no magic wand, I've said it before, but at the same time, somewhere we'll have to make a start. The biggest question that always comes in is, where is the technology for this? I think it's lesser of a matter of technology, it's a matter of will. And where does the will come in? Even if there is no technology, let me show to you what I just saw a few days back, and see where there is no technology, what can happen. Do you see something? Are you able to see a screen?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
Yes,
so
sir.
this
Visible,
is
sir.
a village school. You must have heard of this gentleman. His name is Sapan Kumar in Jharkhand, where there was no technology. He went around, he painted blackboards on the back of the schools and goes around with a microphone and teaches people there. So the issue is not of technology, the issue is of the will. And I'm sure as human beings, we will find our way around the problems if we have the right will and the right enthusiasm and the right intention to change the future of education. So I'll wrap it up. I'm very consciously aware of the fact that I've overshot by 15 minutes. Give me 2 minutes more. If yes, we were to prepare our students for tomorrow and expand or look at the role of education, it is, let me shift the camera a little and see if you can see what I'm trying to draw here. Okay, I'll take it up a little. Okay, so at one level, as we said, the role of the education is to give what the society wants. Right? It is also to give us the financial support. It also give us money. But I think we are forgetting some very important components. What about you? Where are you into the whole spectrum? What is it that you are, what you love doing? Isn't education supposed to address that part also? Because we are not happy what you are doing, will this education be worth anything? So what is it love doing? What is it that you're good at is the next thing that you have to look at. Because not necessarily whatever that you're doing, what you love doing, you may not be the best at that. So net, yes, while all these aspects are important, when you do what brings you money and what the society wants, you are doing what is known as finding a vocation. Education is to find you a vocation. Education is also to give you a profession which only brings you money, and what is it that you're good at, which is this space. So what is it that brings you money and what is it that you're good at is your profession. You may not like being a code writer, but it brings you good money and you do it. But then there is also something called your passion, what you love doing, what you love doing, and what is it that you're good at. There's something, an intersection between these two. Love doing and good at is what is your passion. I think education should also create a window for us to pursue our passions. And what is it that you love doing and the society wants is what should be your life's mission. So net, a good education should be able to give you something which is an intersection of all these things. And in Japan, this is called Ikigai. And people who practice Ikigai, where they do what they love doing, where they do what they are good at, and that also brings you money, and that also makes a huge difference to the society, then you are operating from your Ikigai. Then you are at your best. No power in the world can ever touch you. And that is when you live long and you live happy. So teachers, please help your students search for their Ikigai. Help them find their Ikigai. And I'm sure rest everything will fall in place. For that, we'll have to question some of the myths that we are carrying in our heads if we're wanting for a positive future. We will have to shift from the R and R to H and H is education, which is right, not only about the head, it is also about the hands, experiential, it is also about the heart, right? The chances are we will be creating students which are ready for the future. With that, I will pause. Apologies for extending my time. Any questions, anyone?
Thank you very much, sir. Such a brilliant presentation by you. And I love that you shared the concept of Ikigai, because I don't think, especially in India, we are not taught to do something that we love. We are taught to do something that will earn money. We are taught to do something that the society wants, and we are taught to be good at what the intersection of those things. But we always almost forget about teaching people about what you love to do is also a part of your life and should be a part of your career, because that is how you live a fulfilled life. So I'm really glad that you shared the concept of Ikigai, and wonderful things. A very interactive session. Really enjoyed whatever you said, and we didn't even get to know how the 1 hour passed, because it was such an interesting session. And now I would ask all the participants, if you have any questions, please unmute yourself and ask Dr. Puri, Colonel Puri. I'm sorry.
Sir, good afternoon, sir.
Yes.
Sir, good afternoon. Sir, thank you very much for rejuvenating once again through your lecture, through your delivering a lecture. It's very useful to us. And once again, I hope almost all faculty members, we rejuvenate with your lecture, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gangaji.
Actually, Dr. Ganga Lakshmi, I think I am personally, if I talk about me, I am personally rejuvenated by your interaction that you have done with Colonel Puri today.
Sir, thank you. So kind.
It was a very fantastic way you talked about your curiosities and whatever you had in mind. You have at least, actually, Colonel Puri, what I would like to say is that so many people around in this meeting and no one is interacting. The reason is not that they are not knowledgeable. The reason is not that they are not actually, they don't want to. The reason is the same which I spoke to you earlier, is about the willingness. I say ichha shakti honi chahiye. There should be willingness for everything, but there is no willingness, so you can't force to anybody. That is very basic requirement. First, you have to have the willingness. Whether it is opening of a dairy farm, whether it is getting into an engineering career, or whether it is becoming a doctor to serve the poor, needy and deprived people, or going into a social work, you have to have a willingness. Now the willingness has converted into commercialization. Everybody is now thinking, I should be willing to do only that which can give me money. That's all. So the concept has changed. This needs a lot of motivation and sensitization, awareness creation, that you need to come back to the old thing and create willingness in something. But people are also forced to get into a profession that gives money to you to survive, and in that only he is creating his own willingness. That is the problem.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So kind of you. Thank you.
Yes, somebody was wanting to ask some question.
Yes, sir, Hema wants to say something. Hema?
Yes. Thank you very much, Colonel Patanjali Puri, for your stimulating interactive session. Your ideas are sound and your explanations are clear on how the long-term perspective of effect of COVID on the future education and career, and how the students and teachers are affected by ruining the educational democracy, and also nutrition of mainly nutrition of children, which exist mainly in rural areas, and impact on teachers on handling of technological differences, and how they are now enabled to, how they can able to handle now like conducting of online classes and technological, and mainly the difference between the online class and the live class, which the online class student be more effective than live class, and how parents are bearing the stress in their minds relating to their own future and also their children's future, and mainly and how COVID this pandemic made us to adapt the change in uncertain situations also, and made us to do impossible things happen. And thank you, sir. And mainly short term, and how the short term certificate courses to upgrade the employability skills in one mind, and it's required rather than years of degree, and how the skills of a person sometimes mismatch with the job, and mainly explain what the real education is. So thank you so much, sir, for enlightening us.
Thank you, Hemaji. Thank you.
We will once again invite Colonel Puri and discuss with him about what he said about education democracy. I would like to know whether it is really education democracy, or it is education dictatorship, or it is education Tughlaq Shasan. So we'll like to know that from you.
Yeah.
I don't know. Nobody is having any democratic rights in the education sector. The teachers are being paid 6,000 rupees salary, sir. They are doing PhD for 5 years, 6 years. They are getting only 6,000 rupees salary. They are on contract. Vacant posts in every college, you will find more than 50. In every college I am talking. There are no teachers in schools. Only one teacher is teaching thousands of students. Where is the democracy? I don't find it is democracy. And they are being said that you complete the course. You complete the curriculum. You do this, you do that, you do everything. You come online, you meet the collector, and you meet the education director on video conferencing. You spend 4 hours every day there also. You teach the students also. You do everything. But I give you nothing. What is that? A teacher is doing so much hard work, and after attaining his service for about 25-30 years, when he is to become a professor, full-fledged professor, UGC says that I can't designate you as a professor, so we're giving you salary, but we'll not designate you as a professor. You'll be an associate professor. Why? Because you don't have proper infrastructure in the college. You don't have proper research facilities in the college. So you are not doing proper research, and therefore we will not give you. You are not eligible for that post. Who is there to create the infrastructure and research facilities in the college? Is the teacher responsible for that? No. So, but then I wanted to know whether it is really democracy or dictatorship in education sector. So we'll invite you once more on this topic separately. Thank you very much.
You're right, Srivastava. I think it's a very deep subject. I think an hour or a few minutes more are not enough to delve deeper into it. It's a systemic issue. It cannot be resolved overnight. When I mentioned about educational democracy, it's said in a different context. I highlighted the challenges that the teachers have gone through in the time of COVID, the amount of stress that they're experiencing, very categorically aligned with what you're saying. They're being pulled apart from multiple dimensions, and still they're doing a phenomenal job. So therefore, yes, this is a deep area. Sure, I'll be happy in case we can sit around and have a conversation around this subject. It'll take time, sure.
You know, one more information I am giving you is a hard fact. Government has imposed Hindi compulsory additional subject in every college, in every state. Now in Andhra Pradesh itself, only if I ask you, because a lot of people here have joined from Andhra Pradesh, more than 100-150 colleges have Hindi, but there is no Hindi class, no Hindi teacher, and how it is the exams are conducted, how the students are being taught, that God only knows. It is only in the hands of the Almighty. Nobody knows who is teaching, how the children are taking education. Nobody knows that. And that is why they say that if you get only 20 marks in Hindi, you are pass. So they don't need to take any education in Hindi, and ultimately the teacher, anybody will be designated that you are a Hindi teacher, you give 20 marks to everyone. So they will pass. So this is how the education democracy is surviving in our country. So we say that child has taken education. And then when we talk of opening of new institutions, new colleges, then who opens and who runs? It's a pure businessman. And he does total commercialization. How much money you can pay, how can donation you can give in the name of the building development fund, in the name of this development fund, that development fund. But what exactly happens? Those colleges are joined only by high elite class people of this country. not the common man of this country. So where is the democracy? That we need to discuss in length. So we'll have another chapter on this, and we'll invite you once again only on this issue. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. I assume there are no more questions, and thank you so much for inviting me. It was fun being here, and look forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Definitely, we all enjoyed your session a lot, and we are very grateful to you that you took out time from your busy schedule to join us today here. Thank you once again.